The internet is the gateway to the world. We all know this these days, and it's also essential to excellence in education. But it's not accessible to every child, which is why Comcast has launched Internet Essentials, which puts internet access into low-income households. Now, you heard about it first right here on New Mexico Style last summer. And here to give us the update is Comcast Corporation Executive Vice President David Cohen. Wow, such a pleasure and privilege to have you.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Being here. Well, you know, we're all Comcast customers, myself included, and we have talked to our local Comcast team led by Chris Dunkeson, a great friend of the show, and he's talked to us about this program. So how is it actually doing nationally?
Well, we're really excited about it. It is the only national broadband adoption program that is out there. We have launched it basically in the month of September across our entire footprint, 39 states, including New Mexico and the District of Columbia, more than 4,000 school districts, more than 30,000 schools. And there's an energy level to the program because there is a compelling logic to bringing access to the internet into low-income communities. After all, why should you depend on the income of your parents or the zip code in which you live in order to get access to the internet?
And access to education. I mean, that's the key.
It's access to education, to health care, to vocational opportunities. More than almost 80% of the Fortune 500 today only accept job applications online.
Wow.
So imagine how far behind the starting line you are if you can't even apply for a job because you don't have access to the internet.
Now, I would imagine it's probably similar if you're applying to colleges and getting yourself ready for your future as a kid and coming from a low-income family. That's rough. And one of the challenges right here in New Mexico is actually that much of the state is actually rural. So are you offering programs that are outside of Albuquerque?
Right. So the answer is yes and no.
Okay.
The broadband adoption, the broadband crisis in America is caused by two factors.
Okay.
One is a deployment problem. About 7 or 8% of America does not have access to the internet because the broadband plant has not been built out to them.
Okay.
So that's rural New Mexico. That's the deployment problem. Then you have the adoption problem, where about 25% of Americans don't subscribe to broadband, even though it's been built out to their homes.
Right, right.
And this program is really targeted at that 25% of the population. So we are offering the program throughout Comcast footprint.
Okay.
So it's outside of Albuquerque. We service several dozen communities in New Mexico other than Albuquerque. But it has to be somewhere where we provide service. And in our New Mexico plant, we have built out 100% of those households, so that we don't, in our company, we don't have a deployment problem.
Okay,
but the deployment problem is also a problem, and it's also an issue. And as a responsible corporate citizen, a responsible leader of the cable industry, we are pursuing and helping to pursue some public policy objectives designed to create funding for a build-out of rural America.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the adoption rates, because there are three primary barriers to broadband adoption. So let's talk about those.
Right. So there's a lot of research that's been done on this. Unfortunately, it's not rocket science. The three primary barriers are, number one, and it's number one by a wide margin, is a suite of digital literacy related issues. People don't know what the internet is. They don't know what they can do on it. They don't know the value of it. They might be afraid of it.
A lot of people at certain age groups are very overwhelmed.
They're just they're afraid the government might spy on them if they have the internet in their homes. So it's a whole set of digital literacy related issues. Number two issue is access to a computer. So Pew did a study last year. Almost a quarter of the households in America don't own a computer.
That's scary, isn't it?
For those of us who own computers, usually more than one, it's hard to believe that a quarter of American families don't own a computer.
Oh yeah, I mean, you feel literally lost when your computers, when you don't have your
God
computer
forbid you send it to a repair store.
Yes.
I mean, it's frightening.
It is.
And then the third issue, and on this one, you know, we Comcast raise our hand, is the price of the internet service itself. So in this market, our lowest cost standalone broadband service is, you know, $40 to $42 a month plus $7 a month for the modem. And that's just too expensive. And we understand that, and we as part of a holistic solution, we recognize we have to take care of our part of the problem as well as to help people take care of the other two barriers to adoption.
It's great, and it's important that you do it, and you actually have some specific details that you can offer to our viewers about the service.
Sure, very simple program. If you have a child in your household eligible for a free meal under the National School Lunch Program, you're eligible. So everybody knows if one of their kids is eligible for a free lunch, you're eligible. And if you're eligible, you get three things. And you'll notice these are tied to what we just talked about. First of all, Comcast is going to offer its economy broadband service for $9.95 a month. No charge for the modem. No installation charge. No equipment charge, no activation fee.
Now, is there a time limit on this? I mean, how long can they actually have this?
They can actually have that price, not a promotional price, for as long as they have a child eligible for a free meal under the National School Lunch Program.
That is great.
Doesn't even have to be the same child. So 20 years from now, some of these households will still qualify for that $9.95 a month service.
I think a lot of people worry about that with promotions. They think, well, after 2 months, everything will change.
There's no bait and switch here.
Great, fabulous.
And this is all about providing a certainty of price that people can be confident is going to occur.
That's great.
Second, and this is optional because if you already got a computer, you don't need this. But we're going to provide all eligible households with a voucher that will entitle them to purchase a computer for $149.99. Full service computer, preloaded with Internet Explorer, Microsoft Office, so you have Word and Excel and PowerPoint.
Everything you need, everything you really need.
Right, everything you need to take full advantage of the Internet.
It's such a generous opportunity.
The Norton antivirus protection will be loaded into the computer as well.
That's great.
And then third, with our community partners, a couple dozen of them in New Mexico alone, we're going to provide a real suite of digital literacy training. So we have print materials that will go out with the welcome kit. Our website, internetessentials.com, has a learning and development section on the website with various tutorials. And then we will be offering in-person digital literacy trainings, workshops, lectures, at community partners, so they'll be convenient to people to get to, and all of those will be free of charge.
Well, you're offering all these opportunities for people who, like you said, a lot of people are overwhelmed, and this is a great opportunity for them. And a lot of people are also using smartphones for access. I mean, I know that's what I was going to say before. If I don't have my phone with me, I feel like I have no access to the world. So how does that program fit in with your program?
Right, so we're not against smartphones, and we're not against internet access through a smartphone. And I think that's a good thing. But I don't think that it really meets some of the central needs of internet access. So if you want to apply for a job online, you can't do that.
You can't do that on your phone. No.
If you want to look at some educational enhancements in your software, you can't do that on a smartphone. You need a computer, and you need wireline accessibility to the internet to be able to accomplish that. So look, as a second choice, as a backup, you know, I'm not here against the wireless industry. I think it's great what they do, and I think there's a great supplement and complement to the services they provide. Just like I'm not against broadband adoption programs at libraries and community-based computing centers. But let's face it, my kids, I mean, in Philadelphia, where I come from, we've got computers in libraries. We've got them in community-based rec centers. My kids don't go there.
No, you want to go home.
They do their homework at home.
At home, exactly.
And it's our dream. It's our approach to this problem that we're in the United States. We're the richest nation on earth. We're the most developed nation on earth. We are the most technologically advanced nation on earth. It's time for people to stand up and say that your income level and the zip code where you live should not be the determinant as to whether you have access to the internet at home.
Great point.
It's not fair.
Absolutely.
It's not equitable. And Comcast as a company is saying we're going to do our part to try and turn this around, thanks to a lot of help from a lot of community partners.
And we're so grateful for that. And let's tell our viewers once again where they can go for information about Internet Essentials. You can always call 1-855-8-INTERNET. Very simple. And you can always go to Comcast.com as well.
Actually, if you have access to the web, I'd send people to InternetEssentials.com.
InternetEssentials.com, and you get all the details.
It's a dedicated website for this program.
Perfect. David, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Such a pleasure.
Appreciate
Thanks for all you're doing for all of us
across
the nation and in our community.
Pleasure to be here.
We'll be right back.